Yo, what's good? Y'all, welcome back. And today we got 3 scary true last day of school stories. Some of y'all don't know. Hold on, let me show y'all. Let me show y'all. Young nigga graduated. I'm expecting a congratulations. Shout out to Flight. I stole that nigga flow. Did y'all see that shit? Y'all not. You get it. But look. Young nigga graduated. Diploma. Am I supposed to show y'all niggas that? I think so. Yeah, look, I graduated though. No more school for me. I hate school. Always did. Don't miss it. Don't miss you niggas. Let's watch the video. Speaking of school. Sorry for the niggas who still got school, but feel bad for you. It sucks. By Jack. What'd it say? Wade?
This happened a couple of years ago, right before school ended. It was the last day of 8th grade.
Okay.
It was exactly what you'd expect on the final day of middle school. Excitement and bittersweet goodbyes. Everyone was running around, scribbling signatures and cheesy messages in each other's yearbooks. My middle school was huge, easily over 1,000 students.
Damn.
So to keep things manageable, the teachers collected our yearbooks and passed them around to different classrooms, making sure everyone who wanted to got a chance to sign. I'm sure you could see how that could create problems. Anyone who wanted to could write whatever they wanted in anyone's yearbook. The teachers tried their best to prevent things from getting out of hand, but I knew a few kids who wrote some mean messages to people they didn't like.
Fucking jackasses.
At the end of the day, when I got my yearbook back, I flipped through the pages eagerly, reading all the goofy notes from my friends.
Goofy, y'all.
But as I scanned the pages, something caught my eye. There was a signature below the face of someone I had never seen before. His name was Samuel Robinson III. A name I'm gonna remember for as long as I live.
Damn.
The message he wrote was short, simple, and honestly a bit unsettling.
Okay, what'd he
It
say?
read, "Hags, I'll be seeing you again." I stared at the page, confused out of my mind. I'd never even spoken a single word to this Samuel kid. It wasn't like there was anything I could do about it, though.
So nigga, you niggas never spoke to me. So why is you writing in my journal talking about some I'ma see you again? Nigga, no you won't. Nigga, we just graduated. I'm about to skidert. I'm out of here. You will never see me again. What are you talking about, bucko? Do we have a problem? Are you stalking me? Do you got something to say? Cause look, I got this in the back of my closet. So what it's gonna be? I'm gonna let you know right now. Cause we ain't doing this.
The school year was over, so I couldn't see him even if I wanted to. I just chalked it up to some weird kid being weird, or maybe an honest mistake. Either way, I stopped thinking about it. A few hours passed, and before I knew it, I was at home hosting a sleepover in my basement with my best friends Kevin, David, and Kieran.
Shout out to
One
Kevin.
of us ate Doritos and played Call of Duty all night. My parents' bedroom was 3 floors above us, so we didn't have to worry much about keeping the noise down.
That's the only thing I'm gonna miss about school. The friendships, hanging out with the friends and shit. Cause after school, it ain't, well, I'm saying in my perspective, I ain't really hanging out with niggas. I hung out with my nigga AJ yesterday. Shout out to AJ, real nigga. That was cool and shit. But we not gonna be doing that how we was during school. When you have no problems, when you have nothing, we just was hanging out, my nigga. Shit was cool, my nigga. Hanging out with the niggas, eating Cheetos, playing Call of Duty all day. Them the days, nigga. Niggas gotta work, grind, huh?
We were messing around on my dad's rowing machine sometime just before 2 when we heard a sharp knock at the storm door. The sound instantly silenced us. Who the hell would knock on the storm door? It must have been someone who either didn't want to wake my parents up or knew we were down there, or both.
I'm
It
scared.
didn't make sense. The person kept knocking in the
I'm
same
scared.
rhythmic pattern.
I'm scared.
I could tell Kieran was
I'm
about to say
scared.
something, and I couldn't stop him in time. In a loud and assertive voice, he asked who was there. I wanted to knock him out. He had basically broadcasted to whoever was out there that we were down there. My basement doesn't have any external windows, so it was unlikely that they had known we were down there, but now they did. After a long pause and no more knocking, a muffled voice answered back. He said, "Come around to the back door," in a high-pitched voice that genuinely sounded cheerful, like
Come around to the back door. Bitch, it's nighttime. Why are you at my crib? I'm about to bring the switch out. That's the only thing going through the back door. I'm gonna open it, and you just gonna see fucking hollows just flying at your ass, nigga. Like it's fucking Mortal Kombat. What's it? Aaron Black. Bullets flying everywhere. That's the only thing you're gonna see. You're not gonna see me come out that door. I promise you. You're gonna see a switch, probably a pickaxe, some shit, nigga. You're not getting close to me, nigga. I'm about to hit your ass with a shadow clone jutsu, nigga. You're not touching me, my nigga. At all. Why are you at my crib in the middle of the night? You weirdo, I don't know you.
He was a friend of ours trying to join the sleepover. It was definitely a teenager's voice too, and it didn't sound like someone who was pretending to raise their voice either. I was pretty scared, I can't lie. My friends were seemingly unfazed though, like they thought it was somehow exciting that some random kid was outside my house.
What?
They insisted that I
What?
at least check it out, and even though I didn't want to,
Stop
they
playing
pressured
with
me into it.
Stop playing with me, bro.
We crept upstairs, careful not to make too much noise. I approached the back door slowly, trying to ignore the pounding in my chest.
Boy.
Through the narrow glass pane beside it, I could see a shadowy figure standing under the dim light. I got a little closer, and his face came into view. My jaw nearly hit the floor when I realized who it was. It was him. It was that kid Samuel Robinson III who had signed my yearbook.
Weird ass.
My friends went to go
Weird
open
ass.
the door. God knows why, but I stopped them, saying I knew who it was. I explained to them what had happened, and that changed their mood a bit.
Yeah. Calm
Keep
y'all
in
ass
mind,
down.
Sam was still standing outside while we were talking, and he could
And then
definitely-
who is this Sam nigga? What do you want with me, bro? I haven't talked to you the whole year, nigga. You never spoke to me, buddy. Like, do we got a problem? Did I fuck one of your little bitches? Nigga, we in 8th grade. Get over it. Nigga, we ain't even in high school yet. You got some more to fuck on, nigga. You acting like I touched the high school ones, my nigga. Come on. You ain't even peek at, my nigga. He said, this ain't shit, nigga. We in middle school, my nigga. This ain't shit. What we just did now, this shit don't matter, nigga. Now I see if I was fucking your hoes in high school, and that's still not a reason to crash out be in my crib. But nigga, come on. Make it reasonable at
Teeing
least.
at us. He must have noticed how freaked out I was, because he started motioning to the side of the house like he wanted me to go over to the window. You might be wondering why none of us were taking this situation more seriously. I honestly think it was because it wasn't like some older, strange man was harassing us. It was a kid from our own school. Still, I wasn't opening the door for him. Instead, I went over to my kitchen window and cracked it open just a tiny bit.
Can I confess
You
something,
tripping.
Llama?
I'm all ears.
Since you recommended Monday.com's AI blocks, word got so...
You niggas be playing, bro.
My friends followed me and stood a little off to the side.
Mm-hmm.
He walked over to the window and I asked him what he wanted, telling him I recognized him from our yearbook. He said, "Oh, so you got my message."
Yes,
He
nigga,
introduced
why are you
himself
here?
as Sam. Then he went on to say he always watched me from afar, and that we could have been good friends.
What?
I agreed with him just so that I wouldn't piss him off, but there was 0% chance I would have been friends with this kid given any circumstances. I didn't want to press him right away, but I had to know, so I asked him
No.
how he knew where I lived.
And why are you here?
He didn't respond, and I didn't know what to say. Before I could de-escalate the situation, David called him a creepy stalker and told him to piss off. Sam's
W.
smile disappeared. He tilted his head like he didn't understand what David had just said. Then, just as quickly, his expression twisted into something I can only describe as hatred. He went from passive and honestly kind of friendly to aggressive and angry. He started screaming things at me, how he hated my friends and thought we should all die, how my ex
What?
hated me and random stuff he had no right knowing. He reached toward the window and tried to force it open, but I jammed it shut and locked it. He started snarling at the window and banging on it like an animal. He was 2 seconds away from shattering it, I'm telling you. We must have caused quite the commotion because my parents came rushing down the stairs, demanding
Shoot
to know
this
why we had
nigga!
woken them up. That's when Sam ran away. I told my parents what happened as quickly as I could, and my dad raced outside in his underwear.
Huh?
He came back a few minutes later, saying he had no idea where the kid went. I'm not sure why, but my parents didn't call the police. They just told us to go back to sleep and they deal with the school the following morning, just to give the kid the benefit of the doubt. The next morning, they contacted the school. That's when we learned the disturbing truth. Sam had been expelled a few weeks before the year finished, and he
What?
shouldn't have ever been at the school on the last day. Apparently, the yearbooks were printed before his expulsion, which explained why his picture was still included. That meant he had snuck into the school somehow just to write me that message,
Why?
which freaked me out beyond belief. Despite working with the school to find out more, nobody could track Sam down. It was like he and his parents didn't exist. The whole thing was a pretty big deal, but the school did what they could to keep things under wraps. To this day, I still have no idea how he knew where I lived.
Bruh.
That's what freaks me out the most. The running theory is that he was a mentally challenged and troubled
He
young
is.
boy who took a strange liking to me for whatever reason.
He
And
gay.
then he stalked me for who knows how long.
There's no other way. You're stalking someone. No, I'm not even saying a boy. You're stalking another person because you want to be friends with them. Nigga, you want the booty. Don't lie. You want the booty. Why are you stalking someone else unless there's only one reason? And don't even try to say, oh, just to be friends. Nigga, it's because you want the booty. You want booty. Now, I already you stalk a female to stalk a nigga, obviously, but you shouldn't be stalking people in general. You're weird. Nigga, why are you stalking people? Huh? What? Get some pussy the right way, nigga.
Parents were worried for weeks. It's something we don't talk about anymore because it's just uncomfortable. But living in that same house has never felt the same ever since.
Mike. Story 2, Mike.
My friend Garrett is a little unhinged. And when I say a little, I mean a lot. He's one of those guys that goes around boasting about how crazy and aggressive he is like it's cool or something.
What?
He's constantly getting into fights, doesn't know how to keep his mouth shut.
I know
spends
niggas
more
like
time
him.
in the gym than anywhere else, including his own house. There are actually 5 stories about him I could choose to tell, but the
Comment if you know niggas like that, bro. Comment your homeboy that's like that. Mine's named Nick.
scariest one by far is the one you're about to hear. It also directly involves me, and I feel much more comfortable telling my own story rather than someone else's. This happened a couple of weeks ago, which was also coincidentally the last day of senior year, May 2019. The graduation ceremony wasn't scheduled for a few days.
Okay.
So even though we were done, we still had to stick around. It's tradition for all the graduating seniors to get plaid.
Boy, hell nah, nigga. I'm done with school. I'm done with school. You're not telling me to come up here. You're gonna tell me to come up here when it's time to graduate. Other than that, I'm out of here, bro. What are you talking about?
On the last day of classes. So that's exactly what we did. There's this huge clock tower in the center of campus where all the seniors convene to get drunk, which is exactly where we were at 10 p.m. It was packed. There were over 1,000 people crammed into that one courtyard. It was bittersweet, for me at least, but I think everyone was relieved at having finished finals, which are pretty tough at my school. There are a handful of other senior traditions I could tell you about, but I'm gonna try to keep things succinct. There were 6 of us. It was me, C, T, R, and obviously Garrett. I don't think the rest of my friends would be comfortable with their names out there, so I'm just calling them by their initials. I should also really quickly mention that we lived off campus, meaning we had to walk through the city to get home. There are a decent amount of homeless people in that city, so it's not rare to encounter some of them late at night. Anyway, we were heading back home from the clock tower when Garrett did some Garrett stuff. Well, it wasn't really his fault, but that's neither here nor there. As we were crossing the street, some random homeless guy ran up to our group and started tweaking. Usually, the homeless people around here keep to themselves since they're all tripping on drugs and didn't notice their own surroundings.
Yeah.
But this guy clearly wanted to engage. He was just standing in the middle of the crosswalk, yelling things at us like he was a bridge troll protecting the other side of the street.
What?
We laughed a little and started walking in a wide semicircle around him, as we didn't want to piss him off or antagonize him. Well, everyone but Garrett, that is.
Garrett.
Instead of disengaging, Garrett started yelling things back at the guy, telling him to get the F out of the street and to stop harassing strangers. The tweaker didn't like that and took a few aggressive steps toward him. That's when the rest of us
Get
jumped
back!
in to prevent an altercation from happening.
If you play video games,
Like,
a lot, you might be able to.
That's
get
why I
paid
don't
for it.
understand homeless
You actually
niggas.
play video
Y'all
games
got all this energy to chase
for over
drugs
10
and chase
hours
all
per
that
week,
shit.
Anytime in the last.
But you just, I don't
We must have
understand you
intimidated
niggas,
the
bruh.
tweaker because he stopped charging and went back to just yelling things.
Get out of here.
Pulled Garrett out of the street, trying to get him to behave, but he pushed my hand away. Before any of us could do anything, he charged full speed at the tweaker and screamed, "I'm crazy." The tweaker started running away, which caused Garrett to stop charging and start laughing. I know it's bad, but the scene was genuinely funny, as messed up as it was. It was like running full speed into a flock of birds and watching
Garrett, what the fuck, dude? He told us, I'm fucking crazy chasing a homeless nigga. What the fuck, bro?
them scatter. We started walking towards our house after that.
Okay.
And after a few minutes, we realized the tweaker was following us. When he
What?
caught us looking back at him, he started yelling things about how we had made a big mistake and how he was going to, quote, call a niche, whatever that meant. We started heckling the guy back, hoping he'd get scared and leave. But I'm pretty sure we only intensified whatever tantrum he was having.
Damn.
Look, I'm not proud of everything that happened that night, but we were about to graduate from a very prestigious university and had been celebrating all night with alcohol, so we weren't in the right headspace to properly evaluate the situation.
Okay.
About a block away from our house, we realized the guy was still following, albeit a little further back now. I told the rest of the guys I didn't feel comfortable leading him to our house, and the other guys agreed. So naturally, Garrett took off toward the homeless guy before the group could come to a consensus. He again started sprinting at the guy, who once again fled in the opposite direction. Garrett
Bitch
turned
ass.
and jogged back towards us. and we
How you
all
gonna
jo-
act hard, but then when my nigga Garrett run up on your bitch ass, you wanna run off? Bitch ass homeless nigga, you a hoe.
jogged up the street. We thought that was it. We made it back to our house, pretty confident we hadn't been followed that time. I'm not even gonna go into what we did back at the house. Let's just say it was a level of degeneracy I won't be approaching anytime soon.
What?
I can't even tell you what time it was.
What?
I was stumbling out of the front door to pick up my DoorDash when I noticed something odd. The side gate that led into our backyard was wide open. It was especially weird because we used this little strand of twine to keep it shut, so the door being open meant that someone had deliberately undone it. I instantly made the connection. It was probably that guy from earlier. I had enough sense to connect the dots, but I guess I didn't have enough sense to react accordingly. The smart thing would have been to alert my friends, but my drunken self decided to investigate.
You
Put the
investigate
DoorDash on the
white
porch and
niggas,
went around
bro.
the house, trying my best to walk straight. I turned the corner into the backyard, and before I could even see, I felt a rope around my throat. I flailed around wildly, but it was no use. Someone was strangling me from behind, and there was nothing I could do about it.
How did you get strangled by a homeless nigga? What? You what? A homeless nigga? You getting choked out by a homeless nigga? Nigga, what? How down bad could you be? What could you do to get choked out by a homeless nigga? What is...
I felt the rope's frayed ends digging into my throat as he tightened it with all his strength. I genuinely thought I was gonna die. With all my might, I swung my legs backward, and he lost his footing.
Old
The
ass
two of
nigga?
us hit the ground, and I could breathe again, but he was still on top of me. In a fit of rage, he clawed at my face, and I could feel blood streaming down my cheeks. I threw him off of me, and he got to his feet before running out of sight. I'll try and keep things short from here on out. I ended up having to go to the hospital that night.
Damn.
The cuts weren't bad, but I needed a bunch of shots to protect me against any kind of diseases the guy might have had. The police were less than helpful, and since I was moving out a week later, there wasn't much I could do either. The worst part about the whole thing was that I had visible cuts in all my grad photos. Garrett felt so bad he ended up taking me to Nobu, but I never held anything against him. I just hope he's learned his lesson about not antagonizing people who have nothing to lose.
At least you're alive, bro.
It's really valuable
JT,
to know how
the
many
next
people
person we
are
got
doing digital marketing
is
with
JT.
Similarweb.
We got this man,
Exactly
JT. Let's watch it. Come on. Let's see what he did, bro. Let's see what he did. Last day of school, horror
In
story.
the
Let's go.
7th grade. There
Seventh
was this
grade.
kid named Sven in my homeroom. To put it mildly, he was a bit strange. He was one of those kids who didn't socialize with anyone else, even though people frequently tried to include him in things.
Okay.
I didn't have all my classes with him, but from what I remember, he would always sit in the same spot in every room, the back corner opposite the door. Without fail, he'd show up to school in the exact same outfit every day.
Got nothing to do with me.
shorts and an oversized burgundy hoodie.
Got nothing to do
He
with me.
obviously didn't talk much, but when he did have to answer a question or read a passage, he had a really deep voice that lots of other kids made fun of him for. I don't recall him having any friends at all, which made sense. This one time, my friend Tyler caught him slicing worms during recess, which I'm pretty sure he ended up getting detention for. Speaking of recess, Sven
Bitch, you gave me detention for slicing worms. What did I do to you, bitch? Maybe I'm trying to help the planet, my nigga. Wait, nah, that's actually not helping the planet. Because doesn't worms, like, eat germs and shit? Alright, you a crazy ass nigga. Send him to detention.
would spend the whole period by himself next to the fence that bordered the woods. He never played any games or did anything even remotely kid-centric. He'd just stand next to that fence doing God knows what. Some of my friends claim to have seen him talking to someone on the other side, but I've personally never seen that, so I'm not going to spread potential lies. I'm trying to think of other things about him worth mentioning. He had several quirks and some other weird habits typical of any strange middle schooler, but none relevant to the story I'm going to tell. This happened on the last day of school. I went to a pretty big middle school with lots of kids per grade, meaning there were a ton of concurrent classes with students from the same year happening at all times. Because of that, there was this last day of school tradition where students from the same year would sneak into and sit in random classrooms to try and mess with the teachers.
What?
Pretty sure the teachers were privy to this and played along to amuse the kids, but that's neither here nor there. I don't remember the exact time this happened, but I do remember I was in one of the few classes I shared with Sven. Everything was exactly as it had been all day. The entire class was mixed up with random students that were supposed to be elsewhere.
Okay.
I was kind of a stickler for rules growing up. That's just how I was raised, so I never participated in any of the tomfoolery.
So you're a
My
bitch.
friends all
Nah,
did
Slim.
though, so I was often alone in all of my classes since they went to other rooms together. This was one of those times. All my friends had left the room, and the only kid I knew even a little, coincidentally, was Sven. Sven was acting stranger than usual that day. That's something I remember distinctly. I can't fully remember what we were learning or doing in class, but I do remember that Sven was tapping his foot pretty aggressively, something he never did. He was also constantly looking around the room, as if searching for someone or trying to keep tabs on someone. I don't think he was watching me, but I couldn't be sure. The other thing I remember was that there were a lot more kids in the class I didn't recognize. Granted, one or two wasn't anything out of the ordinary since everything was switched around, but the odds that there were so many students I had never even seen before were slim. At some point, the teacher, I'm pretty sure her name was Miss Bell, told us to get into groups of 3 or 4 to work on some kind of end-of-year reflection
I'm
worksheet.
good. I'm good.
Nothing serious.
These niggas are
Most kids
weirdos.
just used it as an excuse to talk and mess around. At one point, Miss Bell walked over to her desk, picked up the classroom phone, and turned her back to us. A few minutes later, another teacher showed up, I think from the room next door. They stepped just outside the classroom door and started whispering. It wasn't a long conversation, maybe half a minute, but something about it felt off, like they were trying not to cause a scene. I could tell something was up. Miss Bell looked uneasy. That's honestly the best way I can describe her demeanor. After they finished talking, Miss Bell and the other teacher came back into the room. They didn't say anything to the class. They just walked over to a few specific kids and knelt down beside their desks. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but whatever it was quiet. Clearly like they didn't want the rest of us to notice. A minute later, those same kids got up and followed the teachers into the hallway.
What are you niggas doing
No
at
one
school?
really
bro?
reacted. I felt like I was the only one who even noticed what was going on. Miss Bell came back a few minutes later, alone this time. She didn't say anything about the kids who left. Just sat back down at her desk and started shuffling papers like nothing had happened. But right after she did, the fire alarm went off.
If you're a Fort Worth home buyer,
I know
listen up.
wto happen
Right now,
already.
the
I
bad
know what's about to
news
happen.
is it's
I know what's
easier
about to
than
happen.
ever
I know
to
what's about to happen. I know what's
Miss
about to
Bell
happen.
didn't really react, like she knew it was gonna happen. She told us to line up and head outside, and we joined the rest of the school out by the field behind the building.
Okay.
As usual, everyone was grouped by homeroom, so I ended up standing with a bunch of familiar faces again. But while we were all standing there, I looked back at the school for no reason, just out of habit, I guess, and I could have sworn I saw something move in one of the second-story windows. It was quick, and maybe it was just a reflection or a shadow or something, but it felt wrong. The school was supposed to be completely empty. I kept it to myself, but I was really scared when it came to re-entering the building. We never went back inside though. Before the alarm even stopped ringing, we started hearing sirens. A few minutes later, police cars started pulling into the lot. Not just 1 or 2, but a whole line of them. They didn't waste time either. Officers jumped out and rushed straight into the building. No one explained anything. Teachers just told us to stay calm and wait. After a while, someone came around and said school was being let out early. No buses. We had to call our parents. We were never told what actually happened. My parents ended up telling me what happened, or at least what the school had told them. They told me that a bunch of kids who didn't even go to our school had somehow gotten in. A rumor went around that they were planning to set the place on fire. Apparently, Miss Bell had discovered some very alarming tools in one of the kids' backpacks. and the school tried flushing everyone out with the fire drill.
Yo.
The details are still a bit fuzzy, so I'm hoping I'm explaining everything properly.
What?
The part that really stuck with me was what my mom said at the end, that the kids had been let in by Sven through the side fence during recess. The whole thing was so bizarre, it's still difficult to process even now. I never saw Sven again.
So, this is a crazy video. I gotta hurry up. I got shit to do. If you made it this far, follow me on everything up there, my nigga. Please, we trying to make it. Subscribe to the channel, and we are out. Let me redo that. We are out.